Hey, welcome to Tony Talking Trash About Music. We're going to talk about the split tonight. One of the splits that happened in the 80s, and I know these are pop bands, and we talked about them before, but we're talking about the wonderful Beat, the English Beat, who made those three fantastic records back in the 80s, well, late 70s or early 80s. But after those two bands broke up, and they were both out on IRS, and they were on IRS. The funny thing of it is their successors both were on IRS. So the big question tonight is, which did you prefer? And I'm not talking about going forward to the Raw and the Cooked, which was several times later, which she drives me crazy in that, which I don't have on vinyl and I don't want on vinyl. I think that the sound that the Fine Young Cannibals took, but I'm talking about the first issues of these records in 1983. And there were a couple hit singles. First of all, from Ranking Roger and Dave Wakeling and Roger, who I'm always partial to, made a very melodic record with a beautiful song tenderness, although it has one real weird bass, but I think to be an error in it. But the interesting thing about this record when it first started is that it had Mick Jones was involved in it. You know, Mick Jones and Ranking Roger had a really close relationship. In fact, Ranking Roger was actually in the beginning of Big Audio Dynamite. And he actually performed that. And anyway, yeah. Post-Clash band performed several live shows. The band broke up shortly after he joined when his last album happened. So he must have joined it at the very end, not an embryonic thing. Obviously, that's when. But anyway, Anxious, Tenderness, Hot Your Cool was a matter of fact day to day. We're talking about 1984. We're talking about released on IRS. And Ranking Roger and Dave Wakeling. And the beautiful record here. And that's where some of the band went. And the drummer didn't go either place, but general public went there. And then you end up finding a new protege IRS that they want to get going. I think we're Roland Gift. And next thing you know, here come Andy and David, the guitar and bassist. Fine Young Cannibals. I find it a weird takeoff with this. My view of both of these when these records came out, I would say that this was almost as popular where I was, I think I was in Georgetown about this time, either in Fairfax or Georgetown. And they were both huge. And I remember Suspicious Minds was pretty big, the cover version of that. But Johnny Come Home, of course, was the big one. But the truth of it is I didn't like the second side near as much as I liked the general public. And I really don't like the writing near as much. So for me personally, I'm not crazy about the singer. And I know he went on and usurped the other two guys in the band and kind of left them there. But those guys were always like the guys in the front. And then you had the trumpet player like they had in the beat. So I think probably for a little while, at least basically for a thing, maybe they feel like they were a little more towards the beat, where I think the sound of general public expanded more. And a song like Tenderness and a song like these others that they had. Anxious and were just different. I mean, they just had songs. General Public, of course, as a matter of fact, it's a matter of fact. They had a great band too, and Nicky Billingham, Kevin White, Horace Panther, and Stoker were the members of the extra members here of General Public, and they all came from various bands. But I think the stripped down version here, you had Martin Perry and Graham Hamilton on the Cannibals record, as well as piano solo, Graham Hamilton on Time Isn't Kind, and hit some background vocals with some folks. But all in all, you can just feel a different situation. And I remember feeling them both against each other. And I remember I think they both came and toured in D.C. I know I saw I know I saw General Public. I didn't know. I don't remember. I think Fine Young Cannibals came through, and I didn't go or something. But so never was as big in that. And that's why I'm not going to hold you up raw and cooked, because we're really talking about 1985. I'm talking about the first initial thing, and this really felt like, it felt like a touche thing. It really did. I mean, you got General Public coming out and kind of hitting it, and then Johnny came there, and then they really General Public put out another record, which isn't bad. But, the Ron the Cook then just went so commercial and so popular that it just didn't interest me one bit. And I don't really, this record's okay. I kind of have it because I got it, I guess, at one point for a reasonable sum. There's a couple good songs on it. But I'm really more of a fan of General Public in this first General Public record. Now, Frankie Rogers, rest his soul, has died. And I know that there's other folks here that Dave, I think, had tried to move it on here, and the English band. You've got a couple of people that died. You have Everett Morton, the original drummer, died of the Beat, and then you have Blockhead, the keyboard player, died just this year. So, and now you got the English Beat starring Dave Wakeling, which is really all you can do. They don't get along. They tried to do the VH1 Get Back Together deal, and it was the two guys from Cannibals that said no. And I guess they made enough money from that, but it was kind of funny that was their band, because the truth of it is that it was propped up as a band, but it very easily could have been, the way it was presented, could have been the Roland Gift Band. I mean, that's really, he was the star, there's no question. And as I say, he went on later, and he ended up having a future in British television and made a solo record and things after that. Whereas those guys kind of, it kind of stopped for them, but they had done very well. But anyway, the first run was the first three. Then there was the Beat featuring Frankie Rogers, which came later after this, and the Beat starring Dave Wakeling put out a record in 2018. I don't have any of those. I don't consider those later ones in, but nevertheless, guys, thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you think. We should have a vote here. I wish I could have a little vote poll thing here to say who preferred Cannibals, who preferred General Public. And I'm talking right at the beginning. I don't think it's fair to, a few years down the line, how many years was Ron the Cook was like 89 or something. I think that they did. And I guess if you want to count that, they did some staying power. You can do that. But I'm talking about the feeling that I had like right at the time, because it seemed like a competitive thing. And I guess that would have come from Fine Young Cannibals, because General Public was the first one out. And, when we first got that in the stores, we're like, oh, here's what happened to the Beat. Here's the Beat thing. And then next thing you know, boom, no, here's what happened to the Beat thing. So it's kind of a competing thing there. Some people preferred the Fine Young Cannibals. I think maybe even the more straight old ska, like people did. Maybe if they liked the specials more, or a little bit more towards the original Beat. But most people I know appreciated the orchestration and the different thing they were trying to do with the first Public album. Yeah, after that, it fell off, and it certainly never had the success that the Cannibals did. But so touche to them, I suppose. But this is all about what we like, and so this is what I'm telling you about what I like. Tell me what you like, guys. Smash that like button. Tell me what you like, please. This is the vote between General Public, All the Rage, and Fine Young Cannibals' first record. Which do you like better? Thanks. We appreciate you subscribing. And leave your comments below, as we say. We'll catch you guys next time. I saw that spark